it is really powerful that it was a group of Indigenous creators who got to tell Matoaka story through an Indigenous perspective. And it's a reminder to Indigenous people and to all the world that we're still here and that our voices will be heard.
The story you've been told about Pocahontas is wrong. Her true story was not a love story. It's the story of kidnapping, rape, and murder. Her real name was Matoaka.
I'm Lauren DeLeary. I was the screenwriter for the Missing Matoaka project.
I'm Max Geraldo. I'm Chief Creative Officer at BBDO Canada, and I led the creative efforts on this Missing Matoaka project.
If you've ever watched Pocahontas growing up, you may or may not know that she was a real person, and the story that was portrayed in the movie you've likely seen is not her real story. We, as a team, have created whole new audio with her correct story, and you play that alongside the movie that you know.
Imagine how hard it is to rewrite an entire film, telling a different story in sync. When we started entertaining the possibility of doing that, I wouldn't even imagine that that's possible. The only reason we did it is because we had everyone involved in this project so deeply committed to come up with something that outstanding. There was a national inquiry that was launched in 2019 for missing and murdered women and girls. And the report had a specific call to the entertainment and media industry to correct stereotypes, avoid false depictions of specifically women, but Indigenous populations in general and their cultures. And then the decision was to react. From that point, when we crystallized what the idea will be about, we started putting together the team.
When I was first approached about this project, I was so excited. The story of Pocahontas, it's one, something I've resonated with because it was the only representation I had as a little girl. But then two, I was always told her correct story growing up. And so I have always been an advocate for Pocahontas, but also for Indigenous people. It was like a very quick turnaround project. I had 2 screens up, I was going back and forth, stopping and starting truly every 2 seconds and writing everything down. And that's something that was a challenge for me. And I enjoyed that. I think what surprised me was the emotional aspect of this project. I felt not just Pocahontas' story, right? I tried to live into her truth, but also pulling on my own experiences as an Indigenous woman, as well as trying to be respectful to all of us as a whole. It did come with a lot of pressure in that way. It brought up a lot of memories. For example, one of my very first friends, one of our play dates, he decided he wanted to be a cowboy, and he knew I was Native. And so he would call me Dirty Savage, and he would get out his toy guns to try to shoot me, and realizing that in people's minds, I must be a savage. It stuck in my memory. The tips I would give to creators who are trying to write authentically, you have to immerse yourself into the story, into the character, and that takes quite a bit of vulnerability. And I recommend a support system. I had a support system, my family, my friends, to remind me, this isn't me. This isn't my story. It was a challenge emotionally, but I really felt like I had the power and the presence of my ancestors and my people pulling me through.
We tried to be as authentic as possible. We recorded every little aspect of that, every piece of sound design, even the animals, to be true to the animals from the land, the sound of rivers, they were true to the rivers from that specific areas. We use mostly non-actors. We use experienced actors as well, but the main characters are non-actors because that was the choice. We want to depict this as a story that's authentic.
Grandmother Willow, the woman who played her, it meant so much to her to play the voice of Grandmother Willow, because she said that as a child, as a young adult, or an adult even, as an Indigenous woman, she wasn't allowed to use her voice. That just touches on the authenticity of how everyone approached things in this project.
This is just the beginning. Universities, schools, school boards from areas in Canada picking the work to share with students, this is a piece that starts the conversation that's forever.
It is really powerful that it was a group of Indigenous creators who got to tell Matoaka story through an Indigenous perspective. And it's a reminder to Indigenous people and to all the world that we're still here and that our voices will be heard.